Hello, everybody. I know we missed our module internalization for week 5, but hopefully this video helps you out through week 6. I would say everything is pretty straightforward here for week 6. Most of it is work time on another project. This project is like natural disasters, news, things like that. So they get to kind of like pretend to be a newscaster and then write a news report. This is the guide document that like walks them through all of the same things. It should be pretty easy on you guys. The rubrics are exactly the same. And then the directions are pretty much exactly the same as well. I just modified them so that, they're dealing with a different set of vocabulary and slightly different objectives here. The reason I wanted to do this is just like without a final, I know that in the last couple of weeks of e-school, students are going to be getting pretty restless. And so completing a lot of like paperwork in terms of turning in modules and things like that didn't feel like the highest lift for me. My video is linked in the teacher guide as always. And then also in the teacher guide, hopefully I put it here, not find out that I made a mistake. There is an exit ticket in Edulastic, so that is an easy grade that goes into the grade book. I know there was some feedback that we wanted grades to, like in-depth grading and feedback to not happen on Friday. The project is due on Friday. I just didn't feel like there was another way to orchestrate it so that that didn't happen. But I am happy to, if we feel it's necessary, reach out to coaches and school directors and say, listen, this grading simply cannot happen by Friday afternoon since we have that deadline at noon. So this is module 14, first module of the week. There is some like listening comprehension and review, some vocab stuff built in. Just want to make sure they're getting some structured practice. And then the intro to the project. It'll be pretty important to encourage students that they watch my video today, unless you all want to brief yourselves on what the requirements for the project are and then present that to students. But I just feel like the success rate is much higher for students that that watch the video and hear me explain it rather than just reading through the document themselves. So that's kind of the intro. There's not a lot of work time today. This is just sort of like prepping them. Module 15 is at least half work time. They have these two documents as they did for the project that was weeks 3 and 4. It just like gives them some resources to start out, asks them to fill out what they want to study, preps them with some vocabulary. In my structure, and I think in my video for module 15, I mentioned that these are not necessary to be turned in, but it might be useful, and I will leave this up to your discretion for what is going to work best for your specific students. You could just have this be a completion grade, like does it get turned in on Teams or Google Classroom? But that is kind of up to you. I did not have it orchestrated that way because I got a lot of feedback from students this past round of projects that it felt like extra or busy work to some of them. So it's more just for students that need it. And I think I say that in the teacher guide. Let me double check. It's been a little bit since I've made this. Another option here would be to just check for module 15 packet completion. I think that's totally fine. Or you all still have access to the module 6 boleto de salida, which just dealt with like what did you get done today? What are the requirements for the project? Just so you can check up on where students are. You could combine potentially module 6 and module 7 boleto de salida, but again, based on the feedback I got from my students, it felt like there were a lot of sort of extraneous and not connected parts that they had to complete. And I had pretty low completion for the first project, so I want to make sure that students are focusing on what is most important instead of, turning things in as they go. So there is some direct object pronoun review, some grammar. I know that most of us taught that before eSchool, but I did want to make sure for students that didn't have that topic covered, that they were exposed to it at least before they move on into Spanish 3. So that is Module 15, and then Module 16 is entirely independent work time, just to give students really no excuses to not get their work done. There is a little bit of review just to like guide them and get them into the mode of Spanish. Again, no boleta de salida here, but the project will be graded as a formative. And like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, please don't put too much undue stress on yourself to get all of these graded by end of day Friday. I think that's unreasonable. I am happy to be the one that like takes the comes under fire for that. So please let me know if that is the case for you. It's a pretty simple week. We're getting toward the end here. Next week is also, pretty straightforward, a little bit like less work and less logistics on our part. So hopefully they enjoyed the first project, and if not, it will be good practice and all that good stuff. Please reach out with questions and let me know. Ciao.